Hey everybody, welcome to Cara's Cucina Beach House Edition. We'll be here for the rest of the summer. I'm Cara Di Falco, and on this channel we encourage everyday people to live healthier by inspiring them to cook delicious food at home. Today we are just combining all the great flavors of summer in New Jersey. We're making corn and tomato risotto. I'm going to be using 2 whole ears of Jersey fresh corn. It's absolutely delicious if you haven't had it yet, if you don't have access to it. Certainly frozen corn kernels will work here as well. You really only need about a cup of them, but I'm going to show you. So the reason I have it in this enormous bowl is because whenever you cut kernels off the cob, they kind of tend to go flying. So you just want a bowl that's going to catch everything. But we'll get these last few kernels in here. And it's also just easier if you hold it kind of straight up and down and just go down. You'll get about 2 or 3 rows at a clip. See, there they go, flying. And then what I actually like to do with the cobs for this particular recipe is I will break them in half and I'm gonna put them in the pot with our vegetable stock that's simmering on the stove that we're gonna be using to cook the risotto, so it just has more of that corn flavor to it. To start our risotto, I have my pan over medium-high heat. It's already getting pretty hot. Again, like I said, I threw those corn cobs in with my vegetable stock, so they are heating up and just adding to the flavor of everything. So we're gonna start with about a tablespoon of butter and also about a tablespoon of olive oil. And get that going in our pan. And we're gonna add in about half of a yellow onion, just chopped up. With any risotto, whatever you start in with your pan, that's really gonna be the flavor of your risotto. So to our onion, we're gonna add in those corn kernels. Corn kernels. I speak on camera for a living. And I'm gonna add in a little bit of fresh thyme. The nice part about thyme in a dish like this is you really don't have to go crazy with getting the leaves off. You can just kind of throw the sprigs in there, and as it cooks, the leaves will start to come off, and then you can just pull the the pieces out at the end. But we'll get that flavor in there. And we're gonna let this cook for about 3 minutes. As you smell your dish, you should definitely have that smell of the corn starting to toast and cook, as well as a little bit of the thyme and the onion. So now we're gonna add in our rice. So it's 1 cup of arborio or canaroli grain rice. And we're gonna let that start to toast. And if you've followed along for a while, or you've ever seen our other risotto videos, basically with risotto rice, what you want to do is let it absorb those flavors, let it absorb the oil and the fat that's in the pan, and it's gonna start to cook and toast a little bit, so the edges of the rice will become opaque, and then you'll still kind of see like a little dot uncooked in the center. And that is the point where you wanna start to add your liquids. So we're gonna just let this toast up for another minute. Once your rice has become nice and toasted and we're already starting to get little brown bits in the bottom of our pan, now we're going to start adding liquid. So a lot of times in risotto I would use a dry white wine, and you can certainly use that here, but in kind of sticking with my late summer theme, I'm actually using a summer beer that we really like. So this is a white ale that I'm using. You could really use whatever it is that you like. To drink in the summertime on a hot day. You know, a nice ice cold beer sometimes goes really, really well. And depending on how late in the season you make this dish, you might even wind up grabbing an Oktoberfest style beer instead. That would also work out just fine. But and if beer is really not your thing, again, a dry white wine, a Pinot Grigio, a Chardonnay would also work out well. So that's gonna be the first bit of liquid that we add to our rice. And we're just gonna scrape up any brown bits from the bottom of the pan with that and let the rice absorb that liquid. Once it starts to look dry again, then we're gonna start adding in ladlefuls of our warm vegetable stock. All of the beer has been absorbed, and don't worry, I once had a question about alcohol when cooking with it. The alcohol burns off as you're cooking, so that's not anything you have to worry about if you're making this as a family meal. So now we're gonna start adding in that vegetable stock. And we're basically just gonna continue to repeat this process for the next 20 minutes or so until your rice is cooked. And you do wanna taste it as you go. Rice like pasta, risotto like pasta should be al dente. So you don't wanna overcook it. It really shouldn't be mushy. And as you go and you add this liquid, it's gonna continue to just slowly cook. It's gonna get nice and creamy. So you really don't have to add anything to risotto to develop that texture that people know and love about it. So it really doesn't need, we put butter to start, but if you're vegan, you could do this entirely with olive oil in the base and then you don't have to worry about it. But again, just cooking it nice and slow. It really does only take about 20 minutes to cook through, but you just want to stand here, gently keep it moving, keep an eye on it, and as that stock gets absorbed into the rice, then we're gonna just add a little bit more. After about 10 minutes of adding vegetable stock and stirring, letting our risotto cook, now we're gonna add in a pint of cherry tomatoes, and I just have these, or grape tomatoes, either one. And the reason I wait a little bit to add these is I don't want them to turn completely to mush. I don't want them to kind of make a sauce within the risotto. I just still want that nice bright tomato flavor and to have them still have a little bit of bite left to them. So we don't wanna cook them right from the beginning, but we'll add them in about halfway through. Serve your risotto with some fresh chopped basil on top, because really what's tomatoes and summer and New Jersey without a little bit of fresh basil as well. That is it for this week in the Cucina, guys. As always, the recipe is available at caradifalco.com. You can follow me, Facebook and Instagram at Cara Di Falco. That is it for this week in the Cucina. Buon appetito. I'll see you guys next week.